So we're going to look at some of the advanced features and the advanced things that you can do to your Google slideshow. So the first thing that we are going to cover is changing the colors of your theme. So when you click the theme option here or under slide, you choose change theme. Something that is actually a pretty new feature is that you can change the colors within a theme. So what we'll do is we'll pick a theme, and if you notice, I already had something kind of set up here, and now everything just got changed. So let's say that I really like the way that this theme is set up, but I really don't like that it's yellow and teal. Okay, I like to keep my purple type of theme. So what we're going to do is I'm going to click somewhere within my theme. I can click on an object, I can click on text. Whatever you do, you have to click somewhere so that you get a color option. It can be fill color, it can be the pen color. And what you'll notice is in the palette, they do give you some theme color options, but these colors would be, colors that you could choose, the different colors that are within the theme. But if you look above this row of colors, there's a pencil. Click that little pencil. You'll notice that the navigation pane to the right changes, and it says current theme pop, choose a theme color. So when I click here, what happens is I see all of the different colors in the theme, and they're given kind of like a category. Text and background, accent, you see link down at the bottom. So this is what the colors are set at. Now a few of them are obvious, like the yellow text and background. You can tell I have yellow on slide number 1. So if I went and I decided to change this color to purple, oops, then you would see the color change in my slide preview on the left side. Now, if you don't like that color and you're like, oh no, what was the original color? I want to go back to the original color. Just undo it. Okay. But I kind of like that, so I'm going to stick with a purple type color. Remember, you can always undo. Now, the other thing is some of these, it's really hard to tell. Like, I don't know what all of these different colors are. So that's something you can always come back. Like, let's say you add a new slide and it has a color you didn't realize and it doesn't really go. You can always come back to this area by clicking that little pencil. So now if I want this teal box changed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this list, and there are 2 parts that have that same color. So if you don't know how to change this teal, just look at the list of colors and see what happens. So if I take this accent 5 and I click it, I'm going to change the color and see which part changes. Everything that was teal changed to purple. I'm going to undo it for a second because, and I know it's hiding down at the bottom, my screen's not big enough, but all the way down at the bottom here, you hopefully can see another teal box. So if I click that and then I try to change color, nothing really changes. So sometimes with a theme, you're going to get the same color in 2 spots, and you may have to experiment a little bit to figure out exactly which color matches which part. Okay, so you can go in and pick a theme for your slideshow and change the colors of the theme. Now, part of the things about changing the color is, maybe you think two colors would go better together than what is already set. Or maybe, if this slideshow was about America, maybe I want to change the theme to red, white, and blue. So, you may want to change the theme colors to fit the theme of your slideshow. If my slideshow is about the ocean, I probably want to pick some blues and greens. Okay. So change your theme. I'm going to undo everything. Change your theme. Oops. And change the color. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at some diagrams that you can insert into your slideshow. Let me get a fresh slide here. We're going to go to Insert, Diagram. So this would be a time where you want some sort of graphic, okay, whether it's something that's a grid, okay, like a table, but these aren't just normal tables. These have a little more interest. They're a little more interesting. You can change, how many levels. You can grab a color scheme. But we'll go through. If I don't like it, I can select all of it and get rid of it, or I can undo. So we'll go through and pick something a diagram that you think looks interesting. Because there isn't something specific that we're diagramming, picking anything is fine, because the goal here is to practice how we can customize these diagrams, the changes that we can make. So first thing, these diagrams are just created with the shapes that you have available in the toolbar. There's nothing fancy happening here. It's just somebody took the shapes and text boxes and made them all line up and look nice together. This is something you could do on your own, but this would save you tons of time. So a couple things you can do. Let's say, if I want everything bigger, in order to select everything at once, I can draw, I didn't get a shape. I just drew an imaginary rectangle around my diagram, and then it selects everything. I can grab from the corner and I can make it larger. Okay, I can rotate it. I can do all kinds of, sizing changes. I can also click inside and change the text. So I'm just going to go in and change that to say shape 1. So I want you to change the text. It can be something meaningful, something that, maybe there's a diagram that you want to create, or just basic like what I'm putting in here. Write text here, or text goes here, something like that. Definitely practice changing the text. Now, I made my shapes larger, but the text is still very small. Now, you can go through and you can click in each one and change the text. But there are some of the things that I like to make sure that you learn are how to work smarter, not harder. So instead of clicking into each shape and formatting it and then having to do that 3 more times, how can we make those changes more efficiently? Okay, so a couple different options. The first option you have is we're going to select Sorry, I keep right-clicking. We're going to select each text box. And now if I look up at the font, do you see how the font size is blank? That's because I've selected all the text, and if you look at the text, the sizes are different. The shape sizes are larger than the right text here. So if I were to change the font, it's going to make everything the same size. And part of the thing with the diagram is that the parts that say shape should be bigger than the parts that say right text here, because the text in the shapes are like headings. So that's really not going to work what I just did. There is a shortcut though. On your keyboard, if you hold Control, Shift, and then you push the greater than or the less than sign, see what happens. So hold Control, Shift, and then use the greater than sign and the less than sign. If you don't know where those are, they're down at the bottom it's the period and the comma. So Control, Shift, and the greater than sign. What this does is it makes all the text a little bit bigger than what it was. It increases the text by 1. So if something was 14, it becomes 15. 15 becomes 16. And that's the trick for keeping the different types of text different. So now my right text here is smaller than the shape text. And to prove it, if I click in the shape text, it's 31. If I type in right text here, it's 27. So it keeps the differences in text size from each other. So that's one way. Another way to change a little more efficiently would be this. Let's make some changes to shape 1. So let's say with shape 1, I want to make it italic, and I want to change the font. Now I could go into shape 2 and do the same thing, and then go to shape 3 and do the same thing. But instead, you're going to look at the toolbar, and you're going to click this little paintbrush. It says Paint Format. What that did was that just copied the format of the text I just changed. Now, if you notice I have a little paintbrush or paint roller. And now wherever I click, I don't know if you can see it, but my mouse turns into a cursor. Wherever I click is going to paste the shape, or paste, not the shape, but paste the format. So I'm getting a copy of the formatting, and then if I go click on shape 3, it pastes the formatting. It's really cool. That tool works in Docs, it works in Sheets, it works across all of the Google apps. That's one of my favorite. It definitely helps you work faster, more efficiently. The last thing I want you to take a look at is with the actual shapes that we have. Now, when I click, everything's kind of grouped. So when I click here, multiple things are chosen. So let's say I want to just click the blue shape. If I click one more time, outside here. If I click one more time, now my blue shape is selected. And because I have a purple theme, I'm going to go and change my shape color. So I'm going to come to shape 2. It selects everything. Then I'm clicking one more time on shape 2, and you'll notice it gets chosen, and we're going to change that color. Now, because my original shapes were different colors as it progressed down, I'm going to copy that. You don't have to. And then I'm going to change the text. I'll change it to purple. And I'm going to use my format painter because I want the 2 to be the same color. And I want the 3 to be the same color. And what's cool with the format painter, I don't have to select anything the second time. I just click in the area and it will adjust everything. So we're inserting a diagram and customizing it. Make the text bigger, make the diagram bigger, change colors. Now, one thing I notice, let's come back to this for a second. If we look at shape 2, do you see how the word shape was format painted, but the number 2 wasn't? Okay, that's because when I click, I forgot, it only paints to that word. So we're going to format paint again. There we go. And I can click and drag, and that's probably what I should have done. I should have done this kind of a click and drag to paint everything. I might need to go to the eye doctor. I didn't see that till just now. Okay, number 3, mask images. This is also known as creative cropping. Okay, so let's go to a blank slide and we're going to insert a picture. Now the image that you insert, we want something that we can crop. So you want a picture that has an area that we want to like cut out. Okay, but we're going to do it kind of creatively. You'll see in a second. So I'm going to get a picture of a dog because I feel like it. But like I said, I want a picture that I can crop something out of it. So this picture of all these puppies right here, probably not great because, you know, if I try to crop one of these dogs out, I'm going to have like dog parts showing. There'll be a random head or a leg of another dog, which will look kind of weird. So I'm going to pick something like a shape like, or a picture like this where I can crop a shape out. So I'm going to insert this sweet little puppy. I would definitely resize your picture to fit most of the page, at least at first. It'll just make cropping easier. You can always shrink it down later. So we get this cute little puppy here. And what you should see, now when my picture is not selected compared to when my picture is selected, you should notice that the toolbar changes. So when you go to do this yourself, if you don't have the tool you need, it could be because you did not click on the picture. So click your picture. We get new tools. We get the picture tools. We're going to look for crop image. So click crop image. Now another option is to double click on your picture. If you double click on the picture, it automatically brings up the crop. Now normally, don't do this, but normally we would drag from the corners and, you know, crop out the grass and get this sweet little puppy all cropped. But that's not what we're going to do today. So don't start cropping. Just get the crop tool activated. Anytime you see a little arrow next to a tool, that means there's more. Clicking that arrow is always a good idea. You never know what's going to show up as an option. I've never clicked that arrow before I learned this, by the way. So I'm starting to follow my own advice and clicking arrows because who knows what's in there. So when I click, I see some shapes. I see arrows, call outs. So go to the shapes and choose the circle. And what you'll see is my cropping rectangle became an oval. Okay. And if with my mouse, if I get double arrows, I can change my shape. And what's going to happen is this allows you to crop instead of with a rectangle, with a shape. Now, when you get your cropping area how you want it, you can click outside or hit enter. And look at this amazingness. Now I have this sweet little puppy in a circle. And there will be a lot of times where it's appropriate to have the crop as a shape. It's kind of, it can be kind of cheesy sometimes, but there are a lot of moments where this could actually look really neat. So if I double click again, it will allow me to adjust my shape if I want, more of an oval. The other thing is when you have your 4 arrows and you click and drag, you can actually move the picture within your cropping box. So I'm going to make this an oval just because it ends up kind of looking more picture frame-like. Now, some of the times where this would be appropriate, if I could kind of make it look like a frame, if I click my picture and go to Format Options, a drop shadow is always a nice little touch. And you didn't really see much happen here. So when I click the little arrow, I get my menu. I can actually play with the different options here. The angle of where the shadow will be, how transparent the shadow is, how blurry the shadow is. So as I play with these numbers, it kind of makes this look like it's kind of 3D. Okay, I can change the drop shadow color if I wanted. Okay, that doesn't really look that great. Let me undo it. The gray was better. Okay, so you can definitely play around with this and get kind of a cool effect for your shadow. And now it looks kind of 3D, like it's popping off the page. And it looks really pretty, especially if you're creating a slideshow of, pictures for somebody or for your pet. That one's really fun. Next up, number 4, text and background pictures. Now, a lot of times, the picture that you have is so amazing that you want it to be the background of your slide. For example, let's say that you are doing a project on outer space or planets, or you're just feeling fancy and you want a gorgeous galaxy picture. And you say, this is so amazing that it has to be the backdrop for my project. I have no choice. This has to be my background. The problem comes in when you try to add text. Oops, this is my project. I can't tell what I typed, and nobody else is going to have any idea that there's any text there. And a lot of times students will then say, okay, well, I'll just make it some crazy bright color. Okay, yeah, I can see it, but this does not look good. Okay, this is not easy on the eyes. I'm having to, focus to, not be distracted by all the little stars. And now I'm starting to see stars. It's like I'm looking at the sun. This is not a good look. Again, this is very elementary, which isn't bad if you're in elementary school. But as you grow up, this is not a good look. But it's understandable that if you want this as your background, the only option for text that you know of is an obnoxious color, a big bright color, or white, which white's just not as fun. If you're having this cool background, you want to be able to have the text look how you want it to look also. So what we're going to do is 2 things. If you choose a background like this, one idea for text, especially if you have a title, is word art. So for my title, I'm actually going to use word art because I can have a nice bright color like a white or a gray, and it doesn't hurt my eyes. Okay, so that's one option, is to have some word art. Word art's always fun. It's very customizable. You can even use drop shadows on your word art. If you go to Format Options, we can add a little drop shadow. Maybe make it white. It'll give it a little bit of a texture, like a 3D type effect. That makes it kind of look neat. Helps it pop off the page a little bit, because that's the whole thing, is the background is supposed to make everything look nicer, not distract from what you're trying to type. Okay, the star of this slide is the information, not the background. So add some word art, maybe do a drop shadow. Again, it just makes it not as harsh on somebody's eyes. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add, there are two different ways to do this. Okay. The first way is we can add a text box, just like we did before. Okay. And we're going to fill the text box, but we're going to fill it with a custom color. Okay, so choose like gray, and then go back, and we're going to click custom. Now where I clicked, just to show you again, so we're going to fill with a color, but we're going to make it custom. So under the word custom here, I just clicked on one of these empty boxes. Now I'm not going to change the gray unless you want to. If you want to customize the color you chose, you can. But the part I want you to focus on is this bar on the far right. That's the transparency. Okay, now if you remember from when we played with clip art, if you picked a transparent clip art, the background was clear. That's what this last little bar here lets you do. It lets you choose how clear the color is going to be, how see-through. So you can adjust this in a little bit, but go to the middle and click OK. Now what this does is this gives you a text box. So when I type, this is my text, I'm obviously going to have to make my text a little larger, maybe bold. I still have to play with the setup here so that you can see the text well. But creating the transparent color allows your background image to still shine through, but it makes the text the star. Okay, so this is a way to allow yourself to have a background how you want it, but people can still read your text. Okay, because unless there's a very specific reason, you shouldn't have hot pink text. You shouldn't have yellow text. You shouldn't have bright green text unless there's a very specific purpose. If the purpose is so that you could see it with this crazy picture, that's not a good purpose. Okay. So that's one option, is you can create your text box and format the background color of the text box. The only problem is there is a lot of formatting that you have to do to get your text exactly where you want it. That you may not like that. You may not like being trapped within this text box. Okay, so the other option is using a shape. So let's draw a shape. The nice thing about the shapes is you're not stuck having a rectangle. So, maybe I want something like a shape more like this. Okay, so I'm going to go into my fill color, and it's already gray, which I like. It doesn't have to be gray. You could choose, like a purple, because the purple goes with the background color. Then I'm going to go back to custom. Oops. need to pick a blank custom. Pick a blank custom, or I can click this custom button right here. And I'm going to go over to my transparency, bring it about halfway. You can always go back in and adjust it. Now I'm going to add a text box on top. The nice thing about this method is you have a lot more control over what everything is going to end up looking like where your text is at. You know, I can change the size of my text box, things like that. I'll still want to center it and make everything look nice, or if I'm writing a paragraph, you know, you want it to the left or whatever. But now this is like I said, a nice way to have your background shine through, but still have your text able to be seen. And again, if you want to adjust the transparency, I just had to click outside here. I go back to custom, and I can maybe make it a little bit darker, a little lighter. Okay, so you're creating a slide with a very bright, colorful background, adding word art as a title, and then either add a text box and make the background transparent, or add a shape, make it transparent, and then put a text box on top. Number 5. You can insert videos, which a lot of people know how to do. But what some people don't know how to do is you can actually tell the video which parts to play. Or you could tell Google Slides that you only want a certain part of the video to play. So we're going to insert video. And you're going to pick a video that you could possibly put on your slideshow, school appropriate. I'm going to look for parts of a computer. So search for parts of a computer, and I'm going to pick the first one. And my video will be dropped down onto my slide. You can still play around with the size of the video a little bit. You see the little red markings that pop up to show you where center is. Now, when I add videos to slides, I always like to change the background to black, just so that everything looks a little more smooth. You don't have the black bars and then the white on the sides. This actually kind of frames the video, which is nice. So get your video where you want it. Select your video, and you're going to go to Format Options. You can do a drop shadow, not really necessary. The format option that I want you to click on is Video Playback. So what happens is you can actually tell Google Slides what time you want the video to start and what time you want the video to end. Because sometimes there's a video that you see online and you want to, cut out all the talking at the beginning, or there really is only one part that you want somebody to see. This is how you do that. So you can go, you can go through and preview your video and figure out exactly where you want it to start. So I want it to start at 48 seconds. Now, 2 options that you have. Let me just pause it. Okay, let's say that this is 1 minute. I can click Use Current Time. So if I have it paused exactly where I want it, and I click Use Current Time, it will take the time from the video. I could also click in and type. Okay, and then I want it to end. I'm just picking spots. I want it to end at the current time I have it clicked. So again, wherever I'm clicked here, I can use that time. Now the other options, autoplay when presenting. That means the minute the slide opens, it will automatically play. The person watching does not have to click anything. That's an option. Mute audio. Not sure why on a video you'd want to mute the audio, but I guess there could be times that would be appropriate. So if we hit present, let's kind of see what this looks like. When the slide comes up, I have a play button. So when we hit play, now it doesn't actually cut the beginning and the end out. It just starts from that point, and it will automatically stop when we get to the end that I set. Now, the user could rewind and they could watch the other areas. So let's say that part of your video doesn't have school appropriate material and you think that just setting the times will make it so that that doesn't get seen. It can still possibly be seen. This tool does not actually cut out parts. It just narrows down for the automatic viewing. Okay. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. If you literally just want a piece of a YouTube video on your own, you'll have to figure out how you can make that happen. Now, the last tip is adding sound. A lot of people have been trying to figure out how to add sound to their videos, and it is not easy. Google Slides does, at this point, maybe it's something that they could do in the future. But right now there's no way to add sound quickly or through the menus. There is a workaround, and that's what I'm going to show you. So let's say you wanted to add some sort of music to the background, school appropriate music, or, you know, your slideshow or the slide that you have is going to be, let's say, talking about the beach, and you want beach sounds in the background. What we're going to do is we're going to go up to Insert Video, and we're going to just look for, ocean music. So calming seas, 11 hours of ocean waves. Great. Let's select it. Now here's the thing. Now I have a video of the ocean. I'm going to go to Format Options, and I'm going to Autoplay when presenting. We are going to be hiding this video in a minute. Because we're hiding the video, the user can't click on it. If we want beach music to just play, we can't expect the user to click on something that we're about to hide. So you want to choose autoplay. That way, the minute they open this slide, the music starts playing and they get the ocean and they feel like they're at the beach. Now we have two options for hiding this video. Okay. Option number 1 is going to be, now this is a little trickier if you have a theme. Okay, if you have a theme, I'll show you an option. You'll probably want to do option 2. If you have blank slides like we have here, what you can do is you're going to go to a shape, and we're going to pick a rectangle, and I'm going to draw a rectangle on top of my slide. I'm going to fill it with white. So now it looks like I have a blank slide. Meanwhile, there's a video hiding back there. Okay, so that's option number 1. You know, if your background is purple, you can change the rectangle to purple so that nobody would tell the difference. Okay. Now, if you're using a theme, not trying to have you recreate a theme as a picture or as a rectangle. So if you have a theme that going along, like, you know, if I have this slide and I want it to play beach music, your other option is to take your video and we're going to shrink it down. I can even distort it. I'm going to make it kind of skinny, and I'm going to move it off the page. It's off to the side. It's still there. It should still play. Let's see if it'll still play. When I present, I'm hearing some beach. I don't know if you can hear it through the video. Okay, but that's an option to have it off to the side. Another option, like if yours isn't playing for some reason, what you can do is we can change the size here. We can make it small and cover it with something. So if you are going to add a picture to your page, you put the picture on top of this video. Or I'm going to actually use this slide. Okay, let's say this slide I wanted my beach sounds. I can put it in this corner, and then now I can cover it with, I'm going to cover it with a rectangle here, and I'm going to make the rectangle white with a white border. And now you can't even tell that it's there. So when the presentation gets played, it's on the slide, just nobody can tell the difference because I camouflaged it. Okay, so if for some reason when you slide this off to the side, your video doesn't play automatically, bring it back to your slide and you're going to camouflage it, cover it up with a shape or a text box or a picture. Don't cover it with a picture unless you were already going to put a picture on the page. That's kind of silly. Find something that you would normally have on the slide and you disguise it. But that's a way to add sound. Now the sound does not travel from slide to slide, so when you switch slides, that music is gone. You'll also, if somebody's going to be on your slide for a few minutes, you'll want to make sure that the sound will play the whole time. If you want sound to happen at a certain part of the slide, this won't work for you. So it's definitely limited, but if all you want is some sound when the slide comes on, this is a great workaround. And that's it.